Everyone, Tim Knight, Slope of Hope, with a ad hoc video update here. Mostly going to focus on my long positions right now, but before I start, I wanted to talk a bit about a few general market indexes. Here we have before us the ES, and as you can see, looking at this horizontal line, we are mashed right up against the post-flash crash highs. So if we'll sort of recall, and of course when these futures contracts are thinly traded, they look real choppy, but we can still kind of see what was happening. So we can see here the mammoth rise from early February to the peak on April 26. Very, 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 very painful for me. And this topping pattern, which took place, in retrospect, we can see during the entire month of April, preceded this wonderful fall. So we had the flash crash, the rebound, the sustained fall, recovery, and then finally the low. Perhaps even for the year, it seems more and more likely this was the low for the year, back on July 6. And then we had a big rebound, retracement, and then this very painful rebound since then. But the point is that we're all the way back. We've come full circle really here to the highs we saw back on early in May. This giant loop here. Now, as we've pointed out ad nauseum, this inverted head and shoulders is still something people are watching. I don't give it too much attention just because to me it's not really at any kind of major market bottom, but it's still a pretty clean pattern. And obviously, if we just cut right through this level and ignore this overhead supply, the notion of this getting to 1250 is on a lot of people's minds. So definitely worth watching. Behind all that, though, of course, is the Forex, which is vitally important to keep an eye on. Looking at the euro here, we can see that, let's back this up to maybe a 20-day chart. Maybe possibly huge asterisk next to it, topping pattern right here. Really nothing very clean, but the peak back here on October 7, we really haven't reapproached. And I was watching yesterday afternoon and this morning. We shot way up high early when the markets opened on Sunday afternoon, and then kind of descended from there. But a lot of eyes, I think, are going to be on those Fed minutes tomorrow when they're released at, I think, must be 2 in the afternoon from their September meeting. So people will try to read the tea leaves there as far as QE2 and see what's going to happen possibly with that. But to my eyes, the Forex softened up nicely today. Poor old US dollar really trying hard to hammer out a bottom here and made, relatively speaking, some decent headway. Unhappily, Profit Charts doesn't have access in the data feed to the dollar index, but the pretty darn close proxy here is the UUP. This is the PowerShares bullish dollar index. And as I've stated before, and this kind of lines up with what Gary Savage has been talking about as well, possibly a push to about this level, which on the DX would be around the magical 80 level. Were we to climb this high, I think I'd be inclined to cover my own shorts and get serious about precious metals at that point. Because I think we may well have seen those equity lows back in early July. So anyway, let's move on to these long positions. Now, I have currently 82 shorts and 18 longs, so I'm still banking on some downside action, but the longs I do have, I like, and they kind of fall into two categories. One category is like this, which is pretty much lifetime highs with a nice long pattern. And the other category, which I'm going to try to find here, that's not a very good example. The best example I can probably think of is something along well, I've mentioned more than once today, the LDK, something which has a very nice base pattern and is far, far away from any lifetime highs. It's basically a basing pattern with a lot of overhead supply. So I'll just thumb through these 18 here. Some I'll just whiz right through. The others I might say a word or two on. So we have, I'll just say the symbols BKCC. These are obviously alphabetical. BMS. So this is kind of that type 1 I talked about earlier where we've got lifetime highs in a nice long pattern. CBS, this doesn't really fall, I guess this would be in sort of the second category. It's nowhere near a low. That base was established back here in late 08, early 09. This is a very pretty inverted head and shoulders and has resulted in a pretty steady climb since then. Smaller pattern here from CBS, but I'm expecting this to kind of struggle higher. CHKP, just a gigantic, nearly decade-long base on this one. So this is what I could see as kind of a good long-term hold as long as stops were kept up to date. CVI, not the cleanest pattern in the world here, but not bad. DMAN, pretty robust breakout here with a retracement. INFN, I've mentioned quite a few times. Hasn't been around that long as a stock, just a few years, but a very handsome pickup in volume as well as a nice long base. As you can see, I really like the longer patterns. JASO, we've got a cup with handle breakout and again, nice pickup in volume. Solar stocks in general, I think, have been doing quite well and is really the only kind of group that I really am fond of. Here's LAD. Today's real honey was LDK. And this one, big gap up on good guidance and a really huge pickup in volume. In fact, the biggest volume in about a year on this one, so very handsome. LG, here's a very pretty, just not quite a breakout. We had a bit of a false breakout back in the summertime, but kind of has the makings of a nice breakout from that right triangle. LINE, new lifetime high here. There's, clearly this has gone up 200% the past couple of years, but the sort of thing you'd keep a tight stop on. This is a very nice one. I've mentioned this quite a few times. Limelight Networks, LLNW. I believe this is a competitor to, I forget, ARBA, yeah, ARBA, Arviva. But we have extremely nice increase in volume recently, as well as a very pretty breakout. I really like this pattern. This is the kind of stock that I think could do really great things over the next year or two. NGLS, Petroleum Development, PETD. Surprisingly, very involved in natural gas, but still very strong stock. Here's PetSmart, probably something you pass on the freeway just about every day. Another solar stock here, SOLF. And lastly, UFS. Kind of a peculiar pattern here, but as long as it stays above this particular trend line, I think worth hanging on to. So just a change of a pace today. Wanted to show you my longs and the kinds of patterns that I like. Big week in a way. Earnings are just going to start clicking in. I think, if memory serves, Intel is on Tuesday, Google's on Thursday, and I think JP Morgan's on Friday. Don't quote me on any of this because this is just sort of kind of what I remember. As I said, Fed minutes will be on Tuesday afternoon Eastern time. And of course, all this chatter about QE2 will eventually resolve, bound to resolve by the next Fed meeting just after the election early in November. But boy, I'll sure be glad when this whole QE2 announcement is history, because I'm just sick to death of hearing about it. Honest to God. Just do whatever insanity you're going to do. Let us all know, and let's move on with our lives. I'm just sick of the waiting business. Just get it over with. We know it's going to fail. Just get it going. Anyway, as I usually mention, kindly click on some ads if you find any of interest. It's nice to get some click love there. And besides that, hope you have a good week. And I'm really keeping my fingers crossed for this month. We gotta make some money here. So that's it from me. I will see you later. Good night.